For the next part of this assessment, after all of the labeling is complete, we're going to convert it to outlines. One of the advantages of converting your type to outlines is that it eliminates the need to send fonts along with the file when sharing with others. It also helps in the production phase, whether it be printing or embroidering. But one thing to be cautious of is after the type is converted to outlines, the text is no longer text. It actually becomes an object, which is a graphic, and the text will no longer be able to be altered using the character panel. Now, just to remind you, all of my labeling is placeholder text. However, you will actually have your description text placed. To begin, you'll create a new layer utilizing the Layers panel. And if your Layers panel isn't showing, you can always go up to Window and locate Layers, and then make sure it's activated. Then at the bottom of the Layers panel, you'll see a plus sign enclosed by a square. Go ahead and click that to create a new layer. You'll notice that a new layer has been created and it has a default name. Go ahead and double click that and name your layer Working Type. Hit enter on your keyboard to set the layer name. Now you will duplicate a copy of the working type and move it to this new layer in case any changes need to be made. We'll hide the layer within the working type and then convert the other copy to outlines. What you'll need to do is choose your selection tool and select all of the text frames that house the name of the font as well as your descriptions of the terminology. To select multiple objects, you will click on the object that you wish to duplicate, and you can select multiple objects by holding Shift on your keyboard and then clicking those. With all of the text frames selected, you'll then go ahead and hold down your Option key if you're on a Mac or Alt if you're on a PC, and click with your mouse to duplicate a copy of the type. And then in your Layers panel, you'll notice how the selected text frame will appear on each layer, and this highlighted area indicates what is selected. You'll click and hold down the selected artwork for each layer, and that will actually move it all to the working type layer. I can use the visibility toggle to hide my working type, and I want to double check to make sure that I've gotten all of my text and labeling. All right, I'm good. Now I can go ahead and hide that working type, and that will allow me to make edits later on if I need to. With my working layer visibility off, I'll go ahead and ask you guys to reselect all of your text, and now we're going to convert it to outlines. You'll hover over one of the text boxes and go ahead and right click and say Create Outlines. Done. It's as simple as that. You'll notice the bounding box of the text frame went away, and now the bounding box is around each of the letter forms, showing that it's been converted to outlines. You'll want to save your assessment file so you don't lose your work. So go to File and then Save. To complete this assessment, you'll need to create a video presentation in which you explain and demonstrate the process you used to identify the classification of each type the client uses, then explain how you selected the other typefaces, describing the specific characteristics of the letter form's anatomy. This is where these visuals will come in handy that you can include in your presentation. Some of the talking points that you'll want to include in your video presentation is, based on the client's logo, typography, what classification of type does it fall into? And so for my example with Tiffany's, I would describe the terminology listed and then identify what classification. So in this case, it's a transitional serif. The next talking point is the 3 other typefaces you found. You'll also include a brief description of how that typeface's anatomy falls within the transitional serif classification, or whichever one that your logo examples do. After recording your video presentation, you will save your video file as an MP4. Be sure to name it your last name _ first name _ tractor beam, and then go ahead and upload it for this competency assignment.